Beneath the heart of Manhattan, right under City Hall Park, there lies a place called Old City Hall Station. It was once known as the very first jewel of New York's subway system. Opened on October 27, 1904, by the Interborough Rapid Transit Company, it became the city's very first station in history, a symbol of the moment New York stepped into the modern age. However, what makes this place truly special is not its numbers or titles. It's in a quiet truth. It has been sealed for 80 years. The hall that once glowed with chandeliers and echoed with the sound of the first departing train now holds only darkness and memory. Why was such a masterpiece forgotten beneath Manhattan? Tonight, we journey through the 4 layers of memory inside Old City Hall Station, where time stands still in the heart of New York. In the early 20th century, the city was growing so fast that it could no longer keep up with its own breath. The population was surging. The streets were overflowing with horse-drawn carriages, trolleys, and the endless sound of horns. Wheels scraped against cobblestones, smoke from coal engines mixed with fog, covering the narrow avenues in a heavy grey mist. The air, the dust, the noise. Together, they made Manhattan feel like a body working beyond its limits. Streetcars on the surface were jammed. Each line stretched only a few blocks before grinding to a stop. During rush hours, people pushed through crowds for hours just to move a few kilometers. Newspapers called the city's traffic a maze with no exit. Yet amid the noise and smoke, a plan was quietly taking shape. A plan that would change the way this city moved forever. The idea of taking transportation underground, already tested in London and Paris, began to surface in the meetings of engineers and city officials. But for Manhattan, it was more than an ambitious experiment. It was a challenge of revolution, to build a subway beneath the island's bedrock. In 1901, Mayor George B. McClellan Jr., the son of a famous Civil War general, officially approved the project. He believed that the future of the city lay beneath its crowded streets. Around the same time, a new company was founded, the Interborough Rapid Transit Company, or IRT, to bring that dream to life. Engineers began drafting the first blueprints, testing tunnels, and measuring the strength of Manhattan's rock foundation. Many doubted the plan. They said the city lacked the money, the technology, and the workforce to dig safely below its buildings. But McClellan believed the opposite. He said that if New York wanted to become the economic capital of the world, it had to move like a great machine, where every gear and every flow of people had its own path. The subway would be the lifeblood of that machine. When construction began, thousands of workers labored day and night. The sound of drills, hammers, and carts echoed through the stone. Bit by bit, tunnels took shape beneath the city, supported by massive steel frames. Newspapers called the project both an engineering miracle and a symbol of faith. At the center of it all, in the most potent part of the city, one station was chosen to mark the beginning of the very first subway line, City Hall Station. It was no coincidence that they built it right beneath City Hall. It symbolized the heart of New York, the place where every road converged. The station was meant to be the face of the entire system, the first doorway through which people would step into a new world, a world of speed, order, and modern life. To the designers, City Hall Station was more than just a stop on the map. It was a symbol of the city's identity. It was a declaration written in brick and stone, a statement that even a piece of infrastructure could be art. They called it the showpiece, the jewel that marked the birth of the underground age. The project had two primary goals: engineering and aesthetics. Engineering, to prove the system could run safely below ground. Beauty, to remind the world that New York was not only a city of commerce, but a city of vision. From the very first sketches, they wanted this place to be different. Not just a station to pass through, but a place to behold. No one could have imagined that the birthplace of this dream would one day be left behind in darkness. But in 1904, everything was still filled with light, with faith, and with the sound of a city digging deep into itself to reach the future. McClellan often said, "The future of New York lies beneath our feet." When he looked at the subway map, he pointed to the first station, City Hall, and said, "We will begin here, right beneath the place where the city was born." And from that place, they laid the first bricks of a symbol not only of engineering, but of beauty. City Hall Station was entrusted to two architects, George Hines and Christopher Lafarge, the men who shaped New York's early 20th century architecture. The city needed hands delicate enough to turn iron and brick into a dream, and they found them in Hines and Lafarge. They didn't want to create a structure based solely on engineering. They wanted to create a space that would inspire passengers to look up in wonder the moment they stepped inside. Their vision was to blend the elegance of old Europe with the precision of modern American design, turning the city's first subway station into a statement of beauty and purpose. Under their hands, City Hall Station became more than the start of a journey. It became a doorway to another world, where light and stone told the story of an urban dream. The heart of the design lay in its Guastavino tile arches, a revolutionary technique created by Spanish engineer Rafael Guastavino. At that time, few believed that thin tiles could hold the weight of an entire vaulted ceiling. But then they saw it happen. The domes were built from layers of slender tiles, set in graceful diagonal patterns. Without steel beams, they stood firm and light. The space felt open, almost weightless, as if the massive city above had softened into flowing curves. Daylight poured through skylights along the arches. Each tile caught a touch of gold, making the whole station glow as if from within. The light streamed through colored glass, falling softly across the stone floor, mingling with the distant sound of trains. The result was both modern and poetic. No one realized it then, but within those tiles, New York was preserving its very soul. Above, bronze chandeliers spread a warm, crafted light. Below, every brick was laid with care. The curve of the platform wrapped around the tracks like a gentle bow. Every detail was shaped to feel balanced and calm, so that travelers wouldn't just pass through. They would pause and look. Many said that stepping into City Hall Station felt like walking into an underground cathedral, where the grandeur of architecture met the stillness of the earth. In that soft golden light, you could almost hear the heartbeat of the city above. Perhaps it was the first time New Yorkers realized that beauty could rise from concrete and brick. Each Guastavino tile carried the mark of perfection. It held not only the weight of the structure, but the weight of faith, the belief that beauty mattered. During the day, the skylights filled the hall with natural light. At night, the chandeliers glowed softly, wrapping the space in the warmth of memory. Hines and Lafarge had done something rare for a piece of infrastructure. They turned a place of movement into a space of reverence. City Hall Station became proof of a city's confidence. A city that believed beauty could live even beneath the ground. And when the work was finished, New York stood ready for the moment history would remember. On October 27, 1904, the city celebrated the opening of its very first subway line. The air was filled with excitement. From early morning, thousands gathered in City Hall Park to witness the event. Amid the cheers, Mayor George McClellan himself took the controls and drove the first train out of the station. When the metal wheels touched the rails and the train began to move, applause echoed through the tunnels. It was the sound of a new era. The moment New York stepped into the age of the underground city. More than 15,000 people received tickets that day. Many described the feeling as stepping into the future. The next morning, newspapers ran the headline, "City Hall Station, the beginning of New York's modern dream." Photographs showed passengers in coats and hats standing beneath the golden arches, looking up at the glowing chandeliers. The entire city felt proud. This was proof that New York had become the symbol of progress and of the American spirit. City Hall Station was not only the first stop of a subway line, it was the first stop on a dream. The dream of a city where technology and beauty could coexist. But every beginning carries the shadow of an ending. In the joy of that opening day, no one imagined that only a few decades later, those lights would fade. The station that once shone as the heart of a new era would fall into darkness. And in that silence, something would remain, waiting to be remembered. The light from that opening day has long faded. New trains now rush through Manhattan, carrying the breath of a city that never stops growing. But somewhere deep underground, where the golden bricks of City Hall Station still lie silent, memory refuses to sleep. 4 decades after that bright beginning, New York was no longer the same. It was no longer a city of short, quiet trains. Millions of daily journeys demanded more space. The new subway cars were longer, heavier, and far more crowded. But within that expanding network, City Hall Station, the city's first, began to fall behind. The place that once stood for modernity could no longer keep up with the very progress it had started. Sometimes, what makes something significant is also what leads to its end. The station's design dated back to 1904, when trains were only a few cars long. Its track curved gently into a perfect arc, built to let trains turn around in the narrow space beneath City Hall. It was once an engineering wonder, but over time, that same graceful curve became a problem. When the new, longer trains began to run, the gap between the platform and the doors widened along the bend. Passengers could slip, especially during rush hours. The gateway, once celebrated as the first door to the underground world, had now become a safety risk. Engineers tried to fix it, but beneath City Hall Park, there was no room to expand. Above were the foundations and pipes of City Hall. Below was solid granite. Any change could shake the ground beneath the city's heart. Meanwhile, just a few hundred meters north, the Brooklyn Bridge City Hall Station had been expanded. Its platform was straight, long, and perfect for modern trains. Commuters began to change their habits. City Hall Station grew quiet. From the city's first doorway, it became the stop no one remembered. Like people, when a city grows up, it leaves behind parts of its youth. In December 1945, as America emerged from war, New York made its final decision. City Hall Station would close. On December 31st, the last train left the station in silence. No farewell, no headlines, no music. Only a few engineers stood behind, watching the golden chandeliers go dark. After 41 years of service, the city's first subway station vanished from the map. No tears were shed, no words of regret. Its disappearance began quietly, softly, as if it had never existed at all. No one realized that this would be the beginning of a legend. City Hall Station was never demolished. Hidden beneath its design was a quiet purpose. At the end of the Lexington Avenue line, its curved track formed a loop that allowed trains to turn around without needing to reverse. That loop kept Line 6 moving, saving time and preventing congestion at Brooklyn Bridge Station. If the loop were removed, the entire system would have to stop, something impossible in a city that never sleeps. So the station remained. Trains still passed through every day, turning quietly in the dark, as if the past itself was still helping the present move forward. The engineers and planners faced a choice: destroy an old symbol for convenience, or keep it as a witness of its time. Ultimately, they decided to preserve it. No one wanted to erase a station with such history and beauty. The city sealed it instead. They closed the entrances, cut the power, but left everything intact. The arches, the chandeliers, the tiles, all stayed in place, covered only by the dust of years. For the planners, it was an act of respect. For those who loved architecture, it was a prayer written in stone. While New York surged forward after the war, one place remained still beneath the surface. City Hall Station became a pause in the noise, a quiet space under the restless city. Trains still passed through, but no one stepped off. When the last car left the curve, its lights faded, leaving only faint reflections across the old vaulted ceiling. They say that if you stand at Brooklyn Bridge Station at night, you might feel a thin breath of air pass through the tunnel, soft as the sigh of a time long gone. City Hall Station was never destroyed, but it could no longer be seen. It rests between two worlds, between memory and reality. It did not disappear. It simply withdrew from the light. And perhaps, in that place where no one stops anymore, the memory of New York still lives on. When the last door of City Hall Station closed, darkness took its place. The tunnels gathered dust. The lights went out. Silence spread across every brick wall. Everything that had once shone through 40 years of service, from the golden arches to the bronze chandeliers, fell into perfect stillness. Above, the city kept moving, but below, time seemed to stop. No one came down. No voices. No human breath. Only the sound of wind sliding through the old tracks each time the number 6 train passed without stopping. Sometimes, what is forgotten never truly disappears. It simply learns how to live in silence. Beneath the thick layer of dust, everything remains as it was on the last morning of 1945. The Guastavino brick arches still hold their graceful shape, catching a faint golden shimmer when a train's light drifts by. The bronze chandeliers still hang in the air, silent, covered in dust, but never fallen. The stone floor is still smooth. The curve of the platform still wraps around the track like a quiet bow. They say that stepping into City Hall Station today feels like stepping back a century. Everything stands still, yet nothing is gone. Like an old photograph kept in the dark, waiting for the light to return. Even sealed away, the space holds its own kind of beauty. There is no light, but there is a stillness so deep you can hear the echo of the past. Perhaps only here can one feel the slow heartbeat of another New York, a city of time, of memory, of things that once shone bright, but now rest in shadow. Each Guastavino tile seems to hold a breath, a sound of iron wheels, a single step that once passed through. Though forgotten, this place endures, not as a ruin, but as a living memory lying quietly beneath Manhattan. From time to time, when maintenance crews come down to check the tracks, they say there is something different here. Footsteps echo longer than they should. The wind beneath the arches sounds like a whisper. Some say they've seen faint reflections flicker across the tiles, even though the power has long been cut. No one knows where the light comes from. Maybe it's the reflection of a passing train. Maybe it's something else, something light as a breath. But everyone who has stood there agrees on one thing. City Hall Station has a silence like no other. Not frightening, but deep and strange. A silence that makes you want to stay, yet makes you want to leave. And like all forgotten memories, it began to tell its own story. Over time, the workers' story spread. People began calling it the ghost station, the phantom beneath Manhattan. No one ever saw a figure there, but everyone felt that something remained. Not a person, but a memory. Some passengers on the number 6 line said that when the train curved through City Hall, they saw a faint light glowing through the windows, as if someone had just turned on a lamp in an old room. Others said they heard faint sounds, the soft clang of metal, the creak of a chain, or the whisper of wind from somewhere far away. No one could prove it, but the stories lived on, half real and half imagined, just like the spirit of the station itself. Some tales even spoke of a secret tunnel linking City Hall Station to the basement of the Woolworth building, only a few blocks away. They said it was once used for secret journeys by city officials or for transporting documents between government offices, but no trace was ever found. The maps were silent. No survey confirmed it. Perhaps it was only a rumor born in the 1960s, when people began to remember City Hall Station again. And yet, in a city built on secrets, sometimes the stories people tell are not entirely wrong. Legend, rumor, memory, they began to blend into one. City Hall Station, instead of fading, lived on in the city's imagination. It became a symbol of what New York had lost: beauty, stillness, and the ability to pause and listen to itself. When people speak of the ghost station now, they do not think of fear. They think of longing, of the time when the light still glowed, of the sound of the first trains beneath Manhattan. In a city that never sleeps, there remains one place so quiet you can almost hear the breath of the past. In the dark, the arches are still there. The chandeliers are still there. The Guastavino tiles are still there. And time itself moves slowly, as if unwilling to go on. Perhaps in that forgetfulness, City Hall Station found its own way to exist. It does not need light. It does not need footsteps. As long as someone remembers, as long as one train still passes through, that is enough to prove the past is still here, just hidden beneath another form. And then the question remains: do the things sealed in darkness ever truly disappear? Or are they simply waiting for someone to find them again? Before that darkness became forgetfulness, there was a time when it was the darkness of war. The 1940s. The world was burning. Across the ocean, Europe glowed beneath the fire of bombs. And here in America, the nation entered a period of heightened alertness. Beneath Manhattan, among the quiet rails, City Hall Station, once a symbol of faith in the future, could not escape the cold wind of history. From a monument of peace, it became part of the city's defense. As the war spread, New York's government issued new air raid precautions. The city had to prepare for what everyone hoped would never come: an air attack. At night, skyscrapers went dark. Neon signs were silenced. Glass windows were painted over with dark coats to hide their shine. City Hall Station, situated directly beneath the center of the city's power, was placed under special orders. In the fall of 1942, its skylights, once the pride of Guastavino's design, were painted black. Some panes were covered with asphalt, turning the once golden ceiling into solid darkness. Light, the very thing that gave the space its magic, was now forbidden in the name of national security. From a symbol of light, City Hall Station became a place where light itself could not exist. In that darkness, the station seemed to change its nature. It was no longer the showpiece of the subway system. It became an anonymous chamber where silence was the rule. Police and military officers searched every tunnel and every corridor to ensure there was no light leaking through, no weak point for intrusion. The small service passages that once led to technical areas were sealed off. Among them was the narrow link between the station and the basement of the Woolworth building, a passage some called an engineering tunnel. However, others whispered it had once been used for emergency routes by city officials. According to the Interborough Rapid Transit records, that passage was permanently sealed in 1943. The walls were covered with thick cement, marked with the words "Restricted Access, Government Order." From that moment on, no one was allowed to cross that door again. As new restrictions spread, City Hall Station quietly disappeared from daily life. Those who once worked there were reassigned to other lines. No more passengers. No more lights reflecting off the brick walls. Only the faint sound of metal wheels faded down the tunnel. In their place came a few maintenance engineers, men with special clearance to check the train loop and the electrical systems. They worked in silence, their flashlights cutting through a world with no trace of natural light. Every step followed a strict procedure. No bright lights, no wandering from assigned zones, no mention of what lay beneath City Hall. City Hall Station became a forbidden zone, a place where even light obeyed orders. No passengers, no voices, no footsteps echoing on the stone floors. Only a few engineers walked through the iron doors, breathing in the damp scent of metal, moving carefully through narrow halls to take notes and measurements. Each time they left, they closed the door behind them, leaving only the breath of the past lingering in the empty air. In the maintenance logs, there were only dry words left behind. Inspection completed, no damage. But between those short lines, there was something unspoken. The quiet weight of knowing they were standing in a space that had once been alive, now just the hollow shell of a memory. After 1945, when the war finally came to an end, the city lifted its security restrictions, but not for City Hall Station. It remained sealed, still on the restricted list. The black paint on its arches was never removed, as if the city had decided to let it sleep a little longer. Perhaps the war was over, but underground, its memory had not yet fallen asleep. And sometimes, when the train curves through that loop, people say they can still feel a cold wind pass by, as if the past was still breathing somewhere between the steel and the dark. After more than 30 years sealed in silence, City Hall Station began to be remembered again. Not in blueprints or maintenance logs, but in the memories of those who had once seen its golden age. By the late 1970s, a wave of preservation swept through New York. After decades of rebuilding and progress, the city began to realize that among the towers of glass and steel, the old structures still held the soul of time. And somewhere beneath the ground, a forgotten jewel was waiting to be found. In a quiet twist of fate, it was the darkness itself that helped save it. In 1979, the New York City Landmarks Preservation Commission made a special decision. They declared City Hall Station an interior landmark. It was the first underground space ever to receive that title. The decision did more than recognize its design. It was a statement that beauty, even when buried in the dark, still deserves to be protected. In the Commission's report, the station was described as one of the rare examples of perfect harmony between engineering and art in modern urban infrastructure. With that title, City Hall Station was safe from demolition. No longer a restricted zone for engineers only, it was placed under the care of the New York Transit Museum. This institution preserves the history of the city's subway system. The first architects, historians, and photographers allowed to enter were astonished. They stepped into a space frozen in time. The Guastavino arches, the bronze chandeliers, the stained glass skylights. Everything is still there, covered in dust, yet untouched. Under the narrow glow of their flashlights, the tiles shimmered softly, as if the station was waking from a long sleep. One preservation expert wrote, "This place feels like a dream frozen in time. We are not restoring it. We are simply waking it up." When the inspection was done, the museum began light maintenance. The tracks were reinforced. Moisture was treated. Safe lighting was added. But they chose not to open it to the public. Only small, private tours were allowed for members and research groups. The reason was simple. The curved design and its location beneath an active line made large visits unsafe. Strangely, neglect had saved it from change. Each year, only a few dozen people are allowed to step inside. When the iron doors open, cold air rises from the ground, carrying the scent of rust and wet stone. Soft light sweeps across the ceiling, revealing the patterns in the tiles and the delicate curves of the arches. Underfoot, the tracks curve like a ribbon disappearing into the dark. Visitors move slowly, afraid that even a breath might disturb the stillness that has slept for decades. The first photographs published that year caused an instant sensation. The press called it the lost crown jewel of the New York subway. The New York Times described it as both ancient and surreal. Architectural record called it a cathedral beneath the city. People were amazed to learn that, right below City Hall, only a few meters away, such a place of beauty existed. They began to call it the most beautiful station they had ever seen. But even after its rediscovery, City Hall Station remained quiet. The museum decided not to polish or modernize it, but to keep it as it was, a faithful witness of time. Every crack, every stain, Every layer of dust was part of its story. No restoration, they believed, should erase that. One tour guide said, "We don't bring the light back. We just open the door long enough to let it pass through." From that moment, City Hall Station began a new chapter, a chapter of memory preserved. It no longer belonged to transportation or strategy, but to art and remembrance. Each time the iron doors open and the light touches the ceiling, it feels as though the station retakes one soft breath, not to be seen, but to be remembered. After more than 30 years in darkness, City Hall Station finally found its peace, not in forgetting, but in being preserved. And somewhere deep beneath Manhattan, the jewel of New York still rests, silent, intact, waiting for a gentle beam of light to find it again. For many years after it was named a landmark, City Hall Station remained in darkness. Though it had been saved from being forgotten, it seemed to choose to stay asleep, as if silence was the only way it could survive. Only sometimes could its light be seen again, faint, brief, like a memory finding its way back. By the end of the 20th century, a few magazines and media outlets began to rediscover the history of New York's subway system. Among them, Smithsonian Magazine and the New York Times were the first to tell the story of City Hall Station through images. They sent photographers down into the station to capture a space that had been almost untouched since 1904. A beam of light swept across the Guastavino arches, revealing old layers of stone and delicate curves that had been asleep for more than 50 years. A lone reporter stood small beneath the vast ceiling, as if walking through a museum of time. When those photographs were published, America was astonished. Beneath the noise of Manhattan, there was still a place like this, untouched, unreconstructed, waiting in silence to be remembered. Not long after, PBS and National Geographic came too. They filmed short moments in the corridors, where soft light reflected off the curved ceilings, creating a space that felt both real and dreamlike. No background music, no long narration, only the natural echoes of the tunnel speaking for themselves. When those films were broadcast, millions of Americans saw for the first time a station that had vanished from the map since 1945. City Hall Station seemed alive again, not through the sound of trains, but through the stillness of memory. And the most beautiful thing about City Hall Station is that it can still be seen if you know how to look. If you take the number 6 train heading southbound to its final stop at Brooklyn Bridge City Hall, stay in your seat when everyone else gets off. Do not leave the train. When it starts again to make its turn along the loop, it will pass through a curved tunnel. That tunnel is City Hall Station. The doors won't open. The lights inside will stay on. And for a few short seconds, through the window, you'll see the vaulted ceiling, the golden tiles, and the tracks bending into the dark. Just a few seconds. Then the darkness closes again, as if nothing was ever there. Passengers often say it feels like looking through a fogged mirror of time, a place both familiar and far away, real yet almost imagined. Some return again and again, just to see that brief moment, as if visiting the memory of their own city. Those articles, those films, and those fleeting glimpses became the means by which City Hall Station returned to life. Not with noise, not with a grand reopening, just quiet appearances, enough to remind people that it is still there, still beautiful, still whole, still breathing the air of 1904. Each time the light from a passing train sweeps across the arches, beneath the sound of metal wheels on the track, you can almost feel that the past never really left. For a few short seconds, an old dream rises again, still breathing beneath the city. In the mid-1980s, when the New York Transit Museum carried out a preservation survey at City Hall Station, an unexpected discovery opened a new chapter in its history. Among the dusty files in the archives, the engineers found a set of drawings signed by Rafael Guastavino, the master builder who had created the station's legendary vaulted ceiling in 1904. The papers were yellowed, the edges torn and fragile, yet the pencil and ink lines were still so sharp that every curve and every carefully marked brick could still be seen. In the corner of one page, Guastavino had written a short phrase in Spanish. La bóveda vive por la confianza del ladrillo. The vault lives by the faith of the bricks, and perhaps in that moment they understood. Sometimes the most incredible things are not carved in stone, but built on faith. The discovery changed everything people believed about the station. Before then, architects had thought the vaulted ceiling of City Hall Station was only a decoration. However, the original drawings revealed that Guastavino had employed the Catalan vaulting technique, a method he had brought from his home in Valencia. It used thin layers of tiles, laid in overlapping fans, held together not by steel, but by the exact precision of balance and force. This rare technique, almost unknown in the early 20th century, allowed him to create a space that was both soft in shape and strong in structure. It was a meeting of art and engineering, of trust in material and mastery of gravity. The tiles looked delicate, yet when placed in perfect harmony, they formed a ceiling that could stand for centuries. It was more than construction. It was a quiet declaration that strength itself can take form. The documents also revealed something few had known. Guastavino had once tested a special mortar that reflected a golden glow when touched by dim light, giving the space a gentle warmth even without sunlight. That explained why, even when the lights were off and a train passed for only a moment, the station still seemed to shine from within. For the preservation team, it was more than a technical discovery. It felt like a message from someone long gone, a reminder that true beauty doesn't need light. It only needs attention. During the same survey, the engineers discovered an old technical map that showed a small passage once leading from the southern service area of City Hall Station to the basement of the Woolworth building. This tower had once symbolized New York's financial power. That passage had not been used since the war, but its traces still appeared on blueprints from 1912. The finding matched the long-standing rumors that had circulated for decades. Whispers of a secret corridor connecting the two buildings, used for transporting documents or facilitating emergency travel. No tunnel was ever found intact, but the existence of the map alone was enough to awaken a forgotten memory, a place where engineering and legend lived side by side beneath the city. From those drawings, historians and architects began calling City Hall Station by a new name, the Cathedral of Transit, not just for the beauty of its arches, but for what it represented. It was a cathedral not built for prayer, but to honor movement itself, the force that defined New York as the city that never sleeps. Because sometimes, a city too needs cathedrals to believe in itself. Guastavino and his team built a structure where every line, every curve carried a quiet faith that infrastructure could also have a soul. When you step into that space today, you don't just see architecture. You see a philosophy that New York once believed in beauty, even in the places no one thought to look. Each brick holds more than its weight. It embodies the spirit of an era, a time when creating something beautiful for the public was not an act of luxury, but a duty. The small cracks on the walls and the stains on the tiles do not detract from its beauty. They give it life, like the skin of something that has lived for 100 years. Today, as the number 6 train still glides through the curve, every turn of the wheels feels like the breath of a memory still alive in steel and stone. Guastavino is gone. The men who opened the station are no longer there, but their work remains, whole, strong, breathing quietly with the city. Perhaps the real mystery is not in the walls, but in how New York continues to keep its memories, as if it knows that someday someone will listen again to the voice of the past. And when the next train passes through City Hall Station, between the darkness and that brief flash of light, the past will open its eyes once more. From that bright morning in 1904, when Mayor McClellan himself drove the first train, to the final day of 1945, when the station doors closed in silence, City Hall Station completed a long journey. From pride to oblivion to a quiet revival through limited tours. More than a century has passed. Yet beneath Manhattan it remains untouched, like a mirror reflecting the memory of New York. Each brick, each curve of the vaulted ceiling, each dust-covered chandelier holds a fragment of an era that has gone. A time when the city believed that beauty and engineering could breathe together in one heartbeat. From the excitement of its opening to the darkness of 1945, and to the years of quiet preservation that followed, City Hall Station never truly disappeared. It simply changed the way it existed, from a structure of the present to a memory of the past, from a place that welcomed passengers to a place that now welcomes remembrance. The limited tours, the photographs, the films, they are only small doors that open toward time. Through them, people catch a glimpse of what the city once forgot, that even among steel and concrete there still lingers a quiet human warmth. And perhaps, It is the forgotten things that make this city feel more alive. History never disappears. It only moves deeper, to a place where light fades, but breath remains. Somewhere beneath the streets, beneath the echo of the trains, some stories are still asleep. City Hall Station is one of them. A memory that doesn't need to be retold, only listened to in silence. Each time the number 6 train turns through that curve, the wheels touch the rails, and the sound rises softly, like the slow, steady breath of the city itself. From above, no one would know that right beneath City Hall Park, there is still a place that breathes, slowly, quietly, a place where light and memory meet. Among the golden bricks that have slept for 80 years, time does not pass. It only settles, like a thin layer of dust resting gently on the Guastavino ceiling. And in that brief moment when a train glides by, when its light brushes across the tiles, New York seems to see itself again. It sees its past, its present, and the things it still keeps hidden. Thank you for walking with me through this corridor of memory, a place where the past is not just told, but heard. Until next time, on another train, where the city will whisper again the things time has not yet said. Perhaps then we will find another place, also underground, also silent, also waiting to be remembered. But for now, let City Hall Station rest, amid the sound of trains, amid the breath of New York, amid the slow rhythm of a dream that never faded.